Before we go any further, if this kind of deep, evidence-driven history matters to you, subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel now and stay with us. What you're about to hear is not recycled trivia. This is the kind of practical wartime knowledge that kept resistance movements alive, armies supplied, and civilians from starving when front lines collapsed. These methods were born under pressure, tested by occupation forces and refined through failure. If you're serious about history or survival logistics, this is the kind of information you don't skim past. During the Second World War, the most dangerous supplies were not tanks or rifles, but food, medical gear, radios and ammunition hidden in plain sight. The average person imagines buried crates or secret rooms, but the real methods were far more calculated. Entire underground networks survived because their caches were designed to defeat time, moisture, animals, informants, and trained counterintelligence units. Many of these techniques were never written down, passed orally and later forgotten because the people who knew them didn't survive. That is what we are recovering here. Why WWII cache hiding became a science rather than a gamble. By 1941, resistance groups across occupied Europe learned quickly that simple burial meant eventual discovery. German patrols used metal detectors, dogs trained to smell disturbed soil, and aerial reconnaissance to spot ground disturbances. The British Special Operations executive and partisan groups adapted by treating cache placement like battlefield engineering. Every decision, from soil type to access timing, was deliberate. Caches were placed based on how the land behaved over seasons, not how it looked in a single moment. Areas that flooded annually were used intentionally because search teams avoided them. Rocky soil near old ruins was favoured because excavation noise could be disguised as normal repair work. Forest caches were often placed where natural debris already shifted regularly, such as beneath fallen trees or near animal paths, making human disturbance invisible. A modern survivalist can apply this by studying how an area changes over time rather than how concealed it looks today. If a spot floods, erodes or gets trampled seasonally, it may actually hide disturbance better than a pristine location. One of the most effective World War II techniques involved decoy caches. Resistance fighters intentionally planted poorly hidden supplies containing low-value items. These were meant to be found. Once discovered, occupying forces assumed they had dismantled the supply network and reduced their search intensity. Real caches were placed far from these decoys, often in locations that seemed illogical. In France and Poland, resistance groups hid weapons inside abandoned wells that were partially collapsed, not by dropping items straight down, but by embedding them horizontally behind stonework below the waterline. Searchers rarely dismantled flooded structures due to time and risk. This tactic applies today by understanding human psychology. If someone believes they've found what they're looking for, they stop searching. In practical terms, that means separating visible storage from critical storage and ensuring the visible option satisfies curiosity without revealing the system. Urban resistance groups faced constant searches. Instead of hiding items under floors, which became obvious, they integrated supplies into household structures. Coal bins were a favourite. Hollowed coal briquettes were moulded from dust and pitch, allowing documents, detonators, or medicine to be hidden among real fuel. German troops handled coal daily and never questioned it. Walls were another method. Bricks were removed, supplies placed inside sealed oilcloth, and the brick replaced with mortar that was intentionally aged using ash and dirt. These wall caches survived multiple inspections because they showed no visual difference and produced no hollow sound. Today, the lesson is not about hiding contraband, but about structural camouflage. Anything that appears ordinary and necessary is rarely questioned. Storage that looks useful is often safer than storage that looks hidden. Caches were rarely accessed frequently. Many were designed to be opened only once or twice a year. Frequent access created paths, footprints, and patterns. In Yugoslav partisan territory, caches were opened only during heavy rain or snowfall to erase signs immediately. Some groups used timed access rules where only one person knew the exact location, another knew the access method, and a third knew the contents. No single arrest could compromise the cache. This compartmentalization is one of the most overlooked survival lessons from World War II. Metal detectors forced innovation. Supplies were wrapped in non-metallic materials like wax cloth, rubberized canvas, or sealed glass. When metal was unavoidable, it was submerged. Lakes, rivers, and marshes were used extensively. Supplies were anchored just below silt layers where detectors failed. Some resistance units buried caches vertically rather than horizontally, inserting them like fence posts. This reduced detectable disturbance and limited the surface footprint. Soil was replaced in original layers to preserve natural compaction. For survivalists, the principle is understanding detection limits. Tools have weaknesses. Water, depth, and orientation matter more than concealment alone. After the war, thousands of caches remained undiscovered because maps were destroyed and handlers killed. In Eastern Europe especially, returning to retrieve them meant arrest under new regimes. These forgotten caches are physical proof of how effective the methods were. The real takeaway is that good cache design outlives the person who built it. It resists time, weather, and human interference. That is the standard World War II resistance groups aimed for and often achieved. If this kind of serious historical analysis matters to you, subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel. Share this with fellow historians and survivalists and keep these lessons alive. The past still teaches, but only if we pay attention.